All right, welcome to another edition of The Rundown. It's a great Monday. The Seattle Seahawks have won the 2026 Super Bowl championship, defeating the New England Patriots 29-13. Sam Darnold was 19 of 38, 202 yards, 1 touchdown, 0 interceptions. Very important. Drake May, 27 of 43, 295 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 6 sacks for 43 yards. And of course, I got to bring up Ken Walker, K9, 27 carries, 135 yards, Super Bowl MVP. And I predicted a blowout of sorts close till the third quarter, but then Seattle kind of gets away in the fourth quarter. Kind of sort of right about that. I predicted that New England would score 10 points, but even though they scored 13 points, I didn't expect their offense to look absolutely anemic the way it did. I mean, Seattle's pass rush would routinely send 4 and get home to Drake May. And the Patriots, they had their scoring opportunities. I mean, on their first possession, they get it to Seattle's 45-yard, and I'm thinking, okay, they can tie this thing up 3-3, which honestly would have just changed the momentum of this game. But then Drake May takes a 10-yard sack, and that practically ended things, and the Patriots had to punt. Seattle, though, couldn't get anything going in the first quarter. Their second possession in the first, they might have gotten very close to the end zone. It was 3rd and 6 at Seattle's 14-yard line, and Darnold has some pressure on him, but there's a coverage bust. And Njigba is wide open, but he misses him. That honestly might have been a TD if he hits him, but whatever. The Patriots, on the other hand, were so awful on third down and short yardage situations. It was just insane. I'm shocked that they couldn't have game plan things better in that regard. And I'll talk about some of the opportunities where they couldn't capitalize. And one of them was in the beginning of the second quarter on 2nd and 5. Drake May had a wide open Hunter Henry and just flat out missed him. And then on 3rd and 5, they just give up and run the ball with Ramondre Stevenson. And Chris Collinsworth is that's just a give up play. On 3rd and 5, when you run, that practically means you don't trust your quarterback. And I know that Drake May was kind of struggling. Seattle's defense was getting to him. He was a little bit rattled. But I mean, come on 3rd and 5, you just have to throw. That was a ridiculous give-up play. And the running game really didn't help him whatsoever. Ramondre Stevenson, 7 carries for 23 yards. Trevion Henderson, 6 carries for 19 yards. But anyways, after that possession, the Pats punt, and then Super Bowl MVP Ken Walker, he got to work. He had a 30-yard run and 29-yard run that helped the Seahawks get into field goal range to go up 6-0. And those were great runs. He was just patient and was able to find the hole and just run through it. Honestly, considering how many bites Seattle had at the apple, I'm shocked they only went up 9-0 after the end of the first half. Seattle could have had a TD at the end to Njigba, but Christian Gonzalez broke it up. He was fantastic. If it wasn't for Christian Gonzalez, this game would have been a blowout. I mean, he had some very, very good coverage plays. And if Seattle's receivers were able to do something, then, could have potentially gotten in the end zone, and this game would have been a blowout in the first half. But anyways, the Patriots get the ball back at the beginning of the third quarter, and I'm thinking, okay, if the Patriots can't score here, and if Seattle gets the ball back and gets a touchdown to go up 16-0, this game is absolutely over because the Patriots offense just can't muster up anything whatsoever. But at the beginning of the third quarter, when they got the ball, it's one of those short yardage situations again. It's 3rd and 3 at the beginning of the third quarter, and Kayshon Boutte is heavily covered, and Drake May throws it to him, and you have to punt again. I don't know what the hell that play was, and I'm shocked they couldn't find anything better to do. But anyways, Patriots punt, and then Darnold gets the ball back. He's throwing darts all over the field, and all of a sudden, Seattle again is up 12-0, and this is what really surprised me about New England once they got the ball back. They get it to 2nd and 1, can't do anything. 3rd and 1, can't do anything. And Drake May just flat out missed Pop Douglas. And on 4th and 1, they punt. I know it's risky, but your offense has to do something. You keep putting your defense on the field time after time after time again because you keep going through and out. And at a certain point, the dam is going to burst. And the dam certainly did break because at the beginning of the fourth quarter, after May fumble, Darnold throws a TD to AJ Barner for a TD to get them up 19-0. And I honestly thought that the game would be over at that point, and the game was over at that point, but I thought that life would be ripped from the Patriots, but they still had a little bit of life left. The Patriots started getting a little bit more aggressive, and the Seahawks took their foot off the gas pedal. The Patriots had a 3-play, 65-yard touchdown drive. Drake May had a 24-yarder to Mac Hollins, which was in very heavy coverage. That was a fantastic throw. And then he had a 35-yard touchdown to Hollins down the sideline, and all of a sudden it's 19-7 with 12 minutes and 27 seconds left in the fourth. And I'm thinking, okay, this is a momentum changer, because if the Patriots defense is able to get a stop and the Patriots score a touchdown with, I don't know, maybe like 5.5 minutes left, and it's 14-19, all the pressure is on the Seahawks. And you know, I don't like that situation whatsoever. I mean, Darnold has shown up in pressurized situations, but still, that's just not a great situation to be in, especially when you were in the lead for the most part of this game and you had them dead to rights, and then all of a sudden, for the momentum to change, that, I don't know, those aren't very good situations. I've just seen where like those situations can turn quick, fast, in a hurry. But Seattle punts, gets it to New England's 4-yard line with 10 minutes and 40 seconds left. And Michael Dixon, that guy was absolutely fantastic. He had so many punts where he pinned it to New England's 4-yard line or like 1-yard line or whatever. And it's just a masterclass in special teams. And like I've said all season, special teams matter. I mean, just ask the Packers and just ask the Rams. But on 1st and 10, Drake May misses Austin Hooper wide open. It was a coverage bust. He was just sitting, waiting for the ball. Would have gotten a lot of yards. Maybe could have gone into midfield, or I don't know. Maybe in a foot race would have gone into the red zone, but that was a misplay. But nonetheless, the Patriots are able to move the ball a bit. They get it to their own 44-yard line, but then May presses and throws a pick to Julian Love with 8 minutes and 49 seconds left in the game. And I don't know, there just seemed to be a miscommunication between him and Kyle Williams. Kyle Williams kept running, but May underthrew it. Maybe it was a shoulder issue or a miscommunication, I don't know, but Seattle gets a field goal 22-7, and at that point it was just practically over. So, how do we evaluate Drake May? He obviously had a lot going against him. The left side of the offensive line wasn't great, particularly Will Campbell, the left tackle who protects May's blind side. He allowed 14 pressures and 2 sacks, just got eaten for lunch by Derek Hall and other players. There were times, though, where May had time in the pocket, but he just took sack after sack after sack that put the offense in bad situations. I would have liked him to get rid of the ball faster, and I don't know, maybe he just wasn't reading the defense as well, but I did see sometimes on the TV broadcast where he had dudes wide open and he just simply couldn't see it. I wish he used his legs a little bit more, especially on those short yardage situations I was talking about. He did use it here and there, but I don't think he used it enough. I don't know, maybe they were trying to preserve him, but I wish he used his legs, especially if he did have like a shoulder issue, which it sounded like he did because he had to get a shot before the game. But I'm not going to excoriate Drake May. He's in his second year, and these things just happen even to the best of the best, even the veterans. I mean, Peyton Manning, we all saw him get blown out in a Super Bowl against the Legion of Boom, and he was in year 16. Mahomes has gotten blown out twice in the Super Bowl, and those guys are going to be, well, Peyton Manning is a first ballot Hall of Famer, but Mahomes is going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer and is considered a top 5 QB of all time. So Drake May really doesn't have anything to be ashamed of. This is his second year, like I said. It's a learning experience. I believe that he'll get better from this. It's certainly going to take him time to get back to the Super Bowl, like I've said before, but they got to shore up that offensive line. They did have some rookies, so maybe it'll get better in that regard. You got to find a superstar wide receiver. I know that I said that Drake may miss some dudes wide open, but I feel like a superstar wide receiver could have helped for sure. He just faced a gauntlet in the postseason with, Denver's defense, the Chargers defense, Houston's defense, and now Seattle's defense, which it just seemed like was on a whole another level than what the Patriots faced. So not many players face that in their second year, and not many players take their team to a Super Bowl in their first year. He didn't play well in the playoffs, but first year in a new system, I'm sure that over time in the playoffs, he's going to get better. And if the Patriots put more pieces around him, I think that they'll be able to contend and potentially get back to the Super Bowl. I know that Aaron Rodgers didn't make it back. I know that Dan Marino didn't make it back, but I feel that the Patriots are a good organization. They're going to surround him with good defenses, and if you have a good defense, you always have a chance to make it back to the Super Bowl, I feel. So, I don't think Patriot fans should be down on themselves, and I don't think that, they should be down on Drake May whatsoever. I feel that they overachieved, and, they just got beat by a better team, and these sort of things happen. If Drake May was in year 12, you can be like, oh my God, are we ever going to, get over the hump? But, I mean, it's only year 2, so I don't think there's really any reason to fret whatsoever. Sam Darnold, on the other hand, just what a comeback story from him. Nobody would have thought he'd be a Super Bowl champion. From the 2018 NFL draft class, 3 years in, if you had to bet on who would win a Super Bowl first, most people would either go with Josh or Lamar. They would probably bet on Josh more than Lamar, but Darnold was the first one to do it. And I just love how he just gets better from his mistakes. He doesn't get too high or too low. Last year, he took a bunch of sacks. He took like 48 sacks, excuse me. And this year, he cut that almost by half. He had that 4 interception game against the Rams, and he didn't have a turnover the entire playoffs. His stats didn't look great last night, but he played mistake-free football. He knew, and everyone else knew, that the only way that Seattle would lose this game was turning the ball over. It was a defensive slog, and he just knew, hey, let's just get into field goal range, kick these field goals, protect the ball, and we should be in good shape because the Patriots offense can't do nothing against Seattle's defense. So I appreciated that from him. And there's a lot of talk about who can and can't win a Super Bowl, but these past 2 years have shown us that if you're an organization who can surround your players with good defense and just give them support, and the QB has to make big throws in this day and age. You just have to. And sometimes you're going to have a game where you throw for like 250, 300 yards. I don't think like someone like Trent Dilfer can win a Super Bowl in this day and age. You're just going to have to go toe-to-toe with some of these better quarterbacks in this day and age. But if you surround them with support, you can win a Super Bowl, and you don't necessarily need a Patrick Mahomes or a Matt Stafford to win one. And John Schneider, I was so wrong about him. He's one of the best general managers. He's right behind Howie Roseman and Brett Veach probably. Not many guys better than him. Every big decision they made was absolutely right. Trading Russ and from that draft capital of trading him, getting Charles Cross, Devin Witherspoon, and Derek Hall, selecting Mike McDonald to be the new head coach. Not always easy to select a head coach. Trading Geno, signing Darnold, trading DK, and from the DK trade, getting Nicky Manwari, who's a key piece to Mike McDonald's defense. Just amazing. And just drafting, JSN, Gray Zabel, Kenneth Walker, just very, very well done. And I can see why, so many execs are high on him because the guy just knows talent. He just does. I mean, mid 2010s, his drafting wasn't all that great, but once the 2020s rolled around, he's just been on a heater. Mike McDonald, fantastic coach. Defensively, he's a version of Sean McVay and Kyle Shanahan. And Shanahan said on the NBC pregame show that there was no point in him talking about how you can attack Seattle's defense because he couldn't even get a touchdown against them. And those are big words from Shanahan because Shanahan is absolutely an offensive genius no matter what anybody says. The Rams, McDonald did very, very good against them, and Sean McVay is another offensive genius. I know that the NFC Championship game was a barn burner, but in November he strapped McVay, and in December for like a quarter, even though the Rams were able to score 37 points, he strapped them so Seattle could get the dub. And in the NFC Championship game, had a very critical defensive position where they played great goal line defense and on the Rams' last possession. And I was a little bit disappointed last year that the Seahawks weren't able to make the playoffs because I was expecting after firing Pete, you would take a jump and make the playoffs. But it took time for McDonald's vision to come to fruition, and he got the guys he wanted, and it's paid off. And guys like McDonald, Liam Cohen, Ben Johnson are showing that if in year one and year two your team doesn't make a massive jump, then you're probably not that guy. As long as, of course, you have a good roster around you. If you're really that guy in year one and year two, the results should show very, very, very fast. And I'm glad that Seattle has a coach that knows his side of the ball very, very well. Excuse me. I'm very sad to see Klint Kubiak, the offensive coordinator, go. I understand why he's leaving. Even though the Raiders are kind of a shit show of an organization, they have the number one overall pick, and he gets the chance to select his new QB, which is probably going to be Fernando Mendoza. And sometimes in these head coaching jobs, you don't always get to pick your QB, or you're stuck with the QB you don't like, and you're just hoping and praying that you can find your QB, and it never happens. So he has a prime opportunity to get his QB and just mold him into his offense. So makes sense. I think Seattle, because of this, is probably going to fall off a little bit offensively, and because of that, they're probably not going to get back to the Super Bowl next year because they're probably going to have to make an internal hire because all the other good OCs are gone. But I think with Mike McDonald being a defensive whiz, Seattle should get more bites at the apple in terms of potentially getting back to the Super Bowl. Darnold has 2 years left on his deal. I imagine he'll probably take team-friendly deals. He's probably going to get paid in the 40s and 50s, and considering some of these dudes are getting paid in the 60s and maybe get paid in the 70s, I don't think that's a bad deal at all. So, I think this team has a very bright future, for the next 3-4 years, and we may be able to get another Super Bowl under our belt. And yeah, that's all I have for you guys in terms of my thoughts for the Super Bowl. I'll definitely talk more NFL when free agency and trades roll around, but mostly I'm going to be talking about the NBA and just the season, and of course the playoffs are going to hit very, very soon. Excited for that. And yeah, that's all I have for you guys. Thank you so much for listening. Glad the Seahawks are champs again, and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you so much.